The last time I went to the woods, something strange happened. When I arrived, I set up my tent, put on my headphones, and decided to go for a run through the forest. As I ran and I enjoyed the fresh forest air, I suddenly reached a remote area and noticed an old tent. I looked as if it had been there for many years. I decided to take a closer look inside. At first I thought something might be there, but the tent was completely empty. Still, I became extremely curious and wanted to see what was inside. When I entered, I found an old sleeping mat and several photographs of Native Americans. I was shocked. The people in the picture look the people in the pictures looked as though the photograph had been taken at least 100 years ago. I couldn't believe that this tent might have belonged to one of them. What was even stranger was that among the mysterious photographs, I found a letter. The thing, the things written inside completely astonished me. I could hardly believe what I was reading. The letter said, I managed to reach this point in history, and I will finally find the mystery I have always been searching for. I hope you won't worry about me. After reading the letter, I was completely confused. I asked myself, could this tent belong to a time traveler? What was he searching for? Could the claim in the letter actually be true? I left the tent and looked around, but I didn't see anything unusual. I ran for a while longer and eventually left the forest. The next day I returned to the same place with one of my friends, but the mysterious tent was gone. There was no trace of it anywhere, and I couldn't prove my story to my friends. To this day, I have no idea what happened to that tent or what it really was. One day, two girls named Sarah and Michelle went to the forest for a weekend vacation. They took their nep- they took their nephew Stanley with them. Stanley was a playful and restless boy who could never sit still in one place. Because of that, Sarah and Michelle tried to keep a close eye on him. They had rented a house near the forest. After they arrived, they spent a few hours inside the house. Then they sent Stanley upstairs to his room. Michelle told him, don't do anything dangerous. Try to stay in one place and don't touch anything. We don't want you to break something. Stanley agreed, but after 2 hours, he became extremely worried and had no idea what to do. He started looking out of his bedroom window at the forest. Michelle called up to him and asked, what are you doing? Stanley replied, nothing. I'm just looking at the forest." Michelle felt relieved. She went downstairs and saw that Stanley was fine and was only standing by the window, looking outside. While Stanley was staring at the forest, he suddenly noticed something, or rather someone, among the trees. It looked like a strange figure standing deep in the woods. Since Stanley was an adventurous and mischievous child, he easily climbed out of his bedroom window onto the roof. From there, he made his way into the forest. A short while later, Sarah went upstairs to take Stanley some tea. But when she entered his room, she realized that he was gone. She quickly ran to tell Michelle. Meanwhile, Stanley had already reached the forest. He approached the strange shadow which had glowing eyes, and asked, "Sir, do you live in this forest?" The shadow didn't answer. Stanley tried again. "Sir," suddenly a voice echoed inside Stanley's head. "Stay away from me." Stanley was shocked and frightened. He slowly stepped backward and watched as the shadow began to grow larger and larger. Terrified, Stanley turned around and ran away from it. At that moment, he heard Sarah and Michelle calling his name. He ran toward them and told them everything that had happened. However, Sarah and Michelle knew that Stanley had a very active imagination, so they didn't take his story seriously. They decided to take him back to his family before anything worse could happen. So what do you think about these two stories? I hope you enjoy it. And please share your ideas in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe my channel, please. Till next video, take care and goodbye.